you guys expected me to come up here. So I'm actually here to issue a challenge to the graduates. Really happy to be doing this. I wasn't really expecting it, and really excited. So what I'm going to say today is obviously really directed towards them, but it kind of applies to everybody. And I think that any challenge that can be issued to them, we all need to try and issue within our own lives as well. So I apologize, I'm a little bit nervous. I don't really do this that much. I'm going to read today from Matthew, and I think we have it up on the screen. Yes. So if you have your Bible, you can follow along. If not, just read along on that. And in the fourth watch of the night he came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost," and they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come out to you on the water." He said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came to Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and took hold of him, saying to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. So this is actually probably my favorite story in the Bible, and I have notes and I probably should get them out, so in case I get lost. But this is actually one of my favorite stories in the Bible, but it's important to backtrack a little bit and understand exactly what was going on during this. John the Baptist was just killed. Jesus is in mourning at this time. And oddly enough, during the same time, there's this little-known story about him feeding 5,000 people. I don't know if you've heard of that one or not. And he actually did this miracle while he was in mourning for John the Baptist. And when I read that, to me that tells me that my problems are not that big. We all make a big deal out of things. We're like, oh, I'm not feeling too well today. I really probably shouldn't go to church. Or, I've had a rough week. I don't really feel like praying before lunch. I got to get this done fast. But if Jesus can feed 5,000 people while mourning his best friend, I think we can get something done for God. So, the reason that the disciples went out on the boat by themselves is Jesus wanted to take more time to mourn, and he was going to come out to the boat after them. And so the disciples are waiting on the boat for him, and a storm hits. And to me at first when I read this, that's kind of odd, because it seems like when Jesus tells you to be somewhere, there's not supposed to be any storms. But a storm hits and it washes them out to sea. And Jesus comes to them. And when they first see him, they're scared because, John the Baptist just died. There's this guy walking on water. You can kind of see how they freak out a little bit. And it's important to note that, the movies show the water always very calm. They show Jesus walking across this little crystal clear lake and walking to the boat. But really, it's not like that. There's wind and waves, and it's rough waters. You can barely see out there. And Jesus isn't in the water. He's not swimming towards them, going, "Oh, hey guys, you come pick me up now." No, he's walking on the water. So why would Peter want to go out there? Well, it's actually pretty simple, because the water is where Jesus is. See, the story is about a little bit more than faith and miracles, and I didn't really realize that until I started really studying it for this. We hear this story and we talk about this is all about having faith in God, and that's a huge part of this. But there's one more thing it's about. It's about taking a risk for God. See, we're actually all investors in here. I don't know if anybody invests in the stock market, but you can either play low risk or you can play high risk. So low risk, you can kind of put your money in and, wait and see what happens. Just kind of watch it safe. Or it can be high risk and you can put it all in. And maybe this isn't quite like the stock market, because God calls us more to go all in for him instead of a little bit at a time. See, the boat in this is comfortable to Peter. This is where he feels safe. The wind can't get to him here, the water can't get to him there, and the seas are scary. There's waves, there's water, but that's where Jesus is. See, we all get comfortable paying our God bill. We like to go to church. We say, "I went to church this Sunday. I prayed this morning. I ate dinner and I prayed before that too. And I actually, I gave a little bit of money to the church this week, so I paid my God bill. I can pretty much do whatever I want." We're comfortable doing that. But we have to get out of that comfort zone. Because if you don't get off the boat, you're not where Jesus is. I don't think everybody heard that. So you're not always going to have friends who go out on the water with you. It doesn't say that Peter walked out on the water and then Bartholomew jumped in too, and then here comes Matthew and they're all having a pool party. No, none of the other disciples went with him. And it doesn't say he got back on the boat and then they all had a boat party. They're like, oh, good job, Peter. No, you may not always be popular for doing it. The water is rough. Jesus calls us out into the stormy seas. You're going to face temptation. You're going to face pollution. And it's not always going to be in the way you think it is either. It might be from your friends. It might be from your movies you watch. It's not always going to be like God's Not Dead, where the professor comes straight out and tells them God's not real. It's going to come in subtle ways, and you're not going to realize it's happening. You're going to slowly be pulled out into the water. And you're going to get scared, and your faith is going to get tested. But it's important to just keep your eyes above the water and keep them on Jesus. And then you're fine. God doesn't really call us all out of the country. That's not the waters for all of us. The water's different for everybody. But He does call us all to be missionaries. We're all called to share His Word. And we're all called to take a risk for Him, to get out of our comfort zone and do something. So that's what I really challenge you to do, is to get out of the boat. To be comfortable in doing what's uncomfortable. See, we get comfortable going with the flow and just saying, well, I paid my God bill and, you know, my friends are all having this party. I think I'll go hang out with them. Or, you know, I really like this kind of music. It's comfortable. It's what I'm familiar with. I know it's not that great. But we have to not be afraid to walk away, to say no, to go over and talk to somebody, to invite somebody to church. And it's really easy to say, well, I can't do that. See, I'm not gifted like that. I'm not good at talking to people, or I'm a yes man, I'm going to say no. So does anybody, and this is open, anybody can yell it out, does anybody know what Peter did before he was a disciple? Anybody? Fisherman. Alright. None of you said the other thing he did though. Like, you all knew he was a magician, right? He was like Peter, mind freak. He walked on the water and stuff. No, Peter had never done this before. This is not something he was comfortable doing. See, we're not called because we're qualified. We're qualified because we're called. Can I get a better response on that one at least? So, my challenge to you guys is two things. One, keep your eyes above the waters. This story is still about faith. Trust in God. Keep your eye on Him the whole time, and He'll always make sure you get through it. And two, get out of the boat. Go where Jesus is. Get out of your comfort zone and do something huge for Him.